Okay, welcome to the Get Signed and Succeed podcast. We're all the way up to episode number 21, and it's been a great ride with the Craig Cox and Andrew Cohen, and I'm Bruce Badgley, and we have got the topics that, quite honestly, over these 21 episodes, guys, we've had the most viewership, we've had the most questions, we've had the most interaction, and it has been about social media and how that's going to impact these players' recruiting process. So I'll tell you what, this is the third time, quite honestly, that we've covered this topic, but so much of the recruiting process is online now, right, Andrew?
Yeah, definitely no question that if you're not involved with social media and being tutored on how to use it, you're going to be falling behind in the recruiting process.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. And Craig, I mean, talk a little bit about, what these guys, need to be doing related to social media. And really, there's a lot of different aspects to do's and don'ts that these guys need to be involved in, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we like you said, the other episodes we had, one was basically some do's and don'ts on Twitter in general, because now it's called X, but that was our the whole topic of that podcast. And then prior to that, we had one on just social media in general. And that's kind of going to be what tonight's topic is about as well. Just, social media in general, as far as how it links to your recruiting process.
Yeah, and one of the things that you're seeing out there right now that quite honestly that I get inundated with is that so many of these guys now are putting together their midseason highlights and what have you. Andrew, talk a little bit about these midseason highlights and what guys should be doing or not doing, related to that in social media.
I think that it's if you're a 2024, so you're a senior, it's vital that after your first 3 games that you're putting your best plays on, and don't make it 20 plays. Break it probably somewhere between 8 and 12 or so, because you don't want to ever water it down. You want to have great plays on, and that's it. But the college coaches, for the kids that they're strongly considering for a spot, like a scholarship spot, they're gonna want the first 3 or 4 games, and that will help them make a decision. And maybe you're bringing something else to the table that you didn't show on your prior film. So I do think it's vital to get the film out. You definitely want to put it out there on social media, and you want to be able to get it to the college coaches directly. And that's, at Get Recruited Consulting, that's our biggest thing, is that we're gonna use our relationships that we have with the college coaches to get your film seen. So we're going to call the coaches and text the coaches and message them on Twitter and post it on Twitter and all that. And that's what you need to do. So it's a lot of work, but you have to get it seen. It doesn't matter how good it is if no one's watching it.
That's exactly right. And, along with that too, is sometimes it, means an awful lot that you get, varying opinions on that. And that's really what, you guys, both you and Craig, your phone numbers are out there for these guys to give you a call. And I think that is just so important because a lot of times, when I am talking to players, when I'm talking to families, it is, I just wish that they would get another opinion. Okay. I still don't feel that I am one, that need to say yes or no, but I sure feel like saying you need to contact somebody else to talk about your recruiting process. And that's really what I think, along with these highlights or whatever, but that's really what a lot of these players and families should be doing, right, Craig?
Absolutely. And Coach Cohen there's a reason why he's the only recruiting service that I work with, because he actually does what he says he's going to do. And he has these contacts with coaches, and he's going to give you a true, honest evaluation on what types of schools, what level you should be looking at, and it helps a whole lot to create a game plan for success when you have that plan together.
Yeah, and the critical aspect here is, social media. And, you guys have put together really a fantastic plan. I mean, as we've, gone through this process here, you're looking at basically social media assessment, film evaluation, academic evaluation, all for now only, 59.99. Andrew, why don't you speak on, this great program that you and Craig have put together?
Yeah, so this is first of all a special offer, which we put it at 99.99, which in itself is very inexpensive for the information that we're going to be giving out. But typically we get on a call, we review the film, the positives, the things that need to improve, how you can improve it. We'll talk about a level of play. We'll mention some schools that might be the right fit. From there, we're also going to answer any questions that you have in general about the recruiting process. And that's why it's so important, because these podcasts are really good. We have a lot of information, but we can't answer every specific question that every person has. We'll try, but we're not going to be able to do that. So I think realistically, it's important that you're getting that, and it's going to be on a phone call that's relaxed with Coach Cox and I, so you can have. We had one recently, and the family did a great job. They had questions prepared, and I
They
thought
had like 20 some questions.
What's that?
So I think they had like 20 some questions
They
written
did,
down.
and it was really
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah, no
But we're
doubt.
going to do that, and then we're going to look at your Twitter page and look at your social media presence. Do you have enough followers? What kind of followers do you have? Coach Cox, if he can, would like to get a transcript. He can evaluate it, what your core GPA is. Are you a good student? Are you a qualifier by NCAA standards, Division 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. So there's so much value to it. And, we want to help you feel more comfortable with this process, and it's a great start.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the one thing that obviously, and I made mention of it just briefly here, but one of the things that I just get inundated with guys forwarding their film, with families talking to me. And, like I said, you two gentlemen are the expert at this, because you're the ones that are, the ex college coaches, that you're providing, this service, that you have all of the contacts with. And, for me, I just wish that, families and students would understand that they really need to get somebody else involved. Okay. So much of what I see out there is the fact that a lot of the kids think that, they're doing it the right way. And it's not for me to say that, but I just wish that a lot of the students and families out there would at least, give you gentlemen a call to talk about, what's going on out there in the recruiting process. And that's why you guys are available, just to answer questions too. And sometimes I think that maybe some families or what have you are, a little apprehensive in, reaching out or whatever. And I think that hopefully that's what this podcast has done, is to show A, that you guys are accessible, and B, the fact that you're knowledgeable. I mean, all of the stuff that we've talked about, obviously focusing on social media here, but that social media presence is only, one piece of the puzzle. That's for sure. Right, Craig? So talk a little bit about, a little bit more how social media really is the mechanism by which these college coaches are going to start to make contact with guys.
No question. And it's really what has changed in college coaching over the last 10 years, I would say, more than any. I mean, in the beginning, they told us to stay off of social media. And then about 2 years later, they said, you better get on social media because you're behind. So then we, as older guys like me, had to learn all these technical things and try to get on there and catch up with everybody. But there's several social media sites that are really good for recruiting. But the biggest one everybody knows, X, formerly known as Twitter. We've even had a show just about that. That's the most important recruiting platform for high school students to reach college coaches. So it's important that you have the right information on your just on displayed on your screen. You gotta make sure on your oh my goodness, help me out, coach. On your profile page, I'm sorry. You gotta make sure that you have the right information, not too much information. Make it easy for the coaches to find you. Make sure you got your whole name, not your nickname. There's a lot of things we can get into about X and Twitter. And the other one that's kind of coming up, I'm hearing more and more coaches talk about is Instagram. And it's really about when players post, you got to post more on Instagram. You got to post a lot to get the following that you want in Instagram. That means pictures or videos, the little short videos help get a lot more followers. But more times than not, when they find you on Instagram, they're going to go back and find you on Twitter or X. And that's how they're going to typically communicate with you. Another one, Facebook. I've been seeing, I don't know about you, Coach, but I've been seeing more and more students get on Facebook. And I'm a little shocked because Facebook used to be just for, parents and older folks. But now I'm seeing all the time, I'm getting, follow requests and friend requests from people in high school. So more and more people are getting on Facebook because, again, that's where the coaches are. Another one is LinkedIn, and that's one that you really don't see a lot of high school students on LinkedIn. You can't even get on there until you're 16 to begin with. But guess what? That's where all the coaches are, especially in the groups. You have all these coaches association groups on LinkedIn. So it's good to have a good, clean, professional profile on a LinkedIn account to help you reach out to coaches. But 91% of coaches, and this was an NCAA study, 91% of coaches are finding their recruits on social media. And the four that we talked about tonight so far, those are the main ones, especially X or Twitter. And most of the coaches are communicating through social media with the students because there's still rules about when they can call, how many times they can call, but guess what? They can instant message you all day and all night. So there's really no regulation, no restrictions to social media contact. That's why all the coaches have turned to that. You agree, Coach?
I do. I mean, to confirm that, the NCAA has done a study that 90% of college coaches are finding their recruits initially on social media, and that over 80% of them are communicating with them through social media. So this is all important enough that I've been doing this business for over 10 years. And about a year ago, I partnered with GoMVB, which is a public relations firm, a marketing firm that specializes in marketing players through social media. So I thought it was important enough for our student athletes to get the most bang for their buck, to get the most attention and out there and noticed by college coaches. We started with GoMVB, and then I follow up, and I'm able to take out my Rolodex and call the college coaches, text the college coaches, message them directly. But they're getting initially noticed a lot of times through social media. So it is that important. And
Yeah.
Sorry.
And GoMVB is part of your, this special package that you guys are offering as well, Andrew, right?
Yeah, so we work on behind closed doors, the social media assessment, and we make sure that the student athlete knows exactly where they stand and if they're doing the right things. The other thing is, whether it's a 24, 25, 26, or 27, the film evaluation, getting a film evaluated by myself and by Coach Cox, people that we both coached over 20 years in college, we know what it takes, and we're not gonna BS you. We're gonna tell you what level you really are, and then if you aspire to play at a higher level, what are the specific things you need to do? And I think that's vital. I'll tell a kid, well, if you're 6 foot and you're an offensive lineman, then unfortunately there are some limitations. But besides getting taller, what are the physical things they obviously need to do? When I say physical, meaning, is it a flexibility thing they got to get better at? Is it strength? Is it quickness? Is it speed? Ability to change directions? Those are just typical things for different positions. But we want to be able to educate you. And what I want to lead into from there is something I wanted to talk about is what really is good to post and what's not. So,
Yeah.
And we want to post something that has value. And what I mean by that is, I tell people they can You had my brother on from Wake Forest a few weeks ago, and he said he loves watching kids do other things besides their play on a film. So what he means by that is dunking a basketball, running in track, jumping in track, playing different sports, a workout video. All those things can be posted and it's great. But for instance, if you're an offensive lineman and you're benching 135 pounds, don't put that on film. It's got to be something that legitimately is going to impress anyone, and so any impression is an important impression. So you want to make sure that if people are watching you, it's something that's special, something that you're doing that stands out. We have a young man, a very bright kicker from the West Coast, from Washington, and he scored a 1550 on his SATs. And when we posted that, that's still the heaviest volume we've ever had on one of our posts. He had like 60,000 impressions, like within like an hour. It was unbelievable. You know what I mean? So if you have great grades or you have a great test score, those are things that's going to grab someone's attention. So when I say what not to post, average things, average to below average things, you definitely don't want to post just to post. I think that you want to make sure.
Related to those posts, though, that's the types of, impressions you're talking about. That's because of all the follows that you've got on social media. When you put those things out there, because you have tens of thousands of followers out there, that's really why it's impactful, is because you're so well connected in the social media realm, right, Andrew?
Yeah, so Coach, you're jumping ahead a little bit. Coach Cox is going to talk about how do you gain followers in a second. But so when you combine the social media platforms of what I have at Get Recruited Consulting and what they have at Go MVP, we have over 125,000 followers. And I don't say that to brag. What really, it's common sense. So if we post something, and we have thousands and thousands, a boatload of college coaches that follow us. So that means every time we're posting something, that means that a lot of people are seeing it, and the right people, college coaches. So if you're a young man and you have 100 followers and 15 of them are college coaches, that means 15 college coaches are going to see it, and that's it. So you definitely want to get your numbers up. But unless you've done this at the level that myself at Get Recruited and Coach Cox and Go MVP are, where we have over 125,000 followers, when you do it on your own, you're not going to get the numbers necessary typically to really, really get out there. But that's what we do. That's what another thing, not only our relationships and contacts, but the amount of college coaches that are following us as we're sending information out. It's their cheap way to get to find good kids and not have to pay for it. You know what I mean? So I hope I didn't jump on your angle there, Coach Cox, but I just wanted to mention that that's why you want to increase your followers for sure.
I agree. Absolutely. The really main thing I can add to that is it's important to follow coaches. And if they don't follow you back, one little trick is to unfollow them and then follow them again, because they get their little message saying that you're following them. And a lot of times, especially during season, coaches are busy. And I know Coach Andrew can tell you this, we work 80, 100, however many hours there is in a day times 7. That's how many hours we're working. And so it's very easy to let social media or email, things like that, kind of slip behind. So if you don't get a follow back from a coach, then unfollow them, follow them back. That can help you. But the key is that you want the coaches following you. It's great to have your friends following you as well, especially if they are retweeting your message, your pictures or your messages, because then maybe any coaches that's following them may see it. So, but follow coaches. That's the biggest key to that. Coach, you got anything else to add to that I missed?
No, I totally agree. And it's kind of, this should be your business page, or you might say it's your resume.
Absolutely.
So I don't even care if you have less followers, but if you have a lot of college coaches, you should be, it takes a lot of time to get your followers up there. But if you can go to school A and follow all the coaches that are on that staff, now instead of having one chance that they're going to look at you, maybe you have 15. And the biggest challenge is to get them to follow you back as well.
And now most of the websites you go to, whatever college you go to, and you click on the coaching staff, most of the websites are going to have the coaches' Twitter information on there as well. If not, it's very easy just to go to Google and say whatever university, coach so-and-so, Twitter, and then boom, that's going to be usually the first thing that pops up. So it's easy nowadays to find this information so that you can reach out and follow coaches so they can follow you back.
Now, remember, X is now new. It used to be Twitter, like he said. So
Right.
if they're not following you back, even if they're open, you can now not send them a message. You're going to have to pay for that. I mean, it's not a ton of money, but it's like $12 a month or something like that. So just being aware, it used to be if they were open, you could, and they didn't follow you back, you can send them a message. So, and that's like for us, we get a lot of people following us back because they realize the value they get by following us. They get a lot of information on a lot of very good football players.
I was very
I'm sorry.
intrigued by what you talked about, Craig, about LinkedIn. And so talk a little bit about that. I mean, both of you guys, I mean, what's your feeling about, a student reaching out to a coach on LinkedIn? I mean, is that something that, that you would recommend?
That's, again, me and Coach Cohen talked about this the other day. That's where all the coaches are. Now, again, it's not a platform that I would just post a bunch of nonsense up. But if you want to reach out to a coach and let them know you're interested, again, that's one of the best ways to find them and reach is on LinkedIn, because the coaches are going to be on there.
I would say for college football recruiting, with trying to get the attention of college coaches, number one is Twitter, and I'd say probably LinkedIn is too. I would.
Wow.
Because it is a mature audience, and if you get a direct message, they're going to get it. So I think it's pretty good. And I think for some other sports, Instagram is very popular. For football, not as much, but it's definitely got some value to it.
Yeah.
For us, when we're working with a student athlete, with us in Go MVB, we're working all social media. So all these that you're mentioning, plus Facebook, plus TikTok, we're going to be instrumental in getting them out there on all those platforms.
Yeah,
So,
and that's all part of this great package that both you and Craig and Go MVB have for an evaluation here of what this athlete is really got to do to get noticed. Film
I think
evaluation.
Badge, I think that, I don't know if everyone stresses it enough, but at a young age, especially, 27s, 26s, 25s, for them, they need to know, where are they right now? Like, what kind of a player are they? What are they doing well? Because you talk to families or the student athlete, they just don't know. They don't know what it takes to be a great player at their position. We have the experience. We've coached college at different positions at different levels. We know what it takes, but we're also willing to tell that to the student athlete and their families. These are, by the way, these are appointments that we'd want with the student athlete and at the same time with the parent. But we're not going to be mean by any means at all, but we are going to be honest, and we do want to make sure that we clarify what level they are, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel, especially if they're younger. If you improve this and this, you can go up a level. If you can improve that, hey, if you don't improve this, you're gonna limit yourself. So I think it's important to know what to do as much as anything.
Now they can sign up for that. You've been posting that in the chat, I believe, Coach, the link.
I posted it twice. There's a link that they can sign up for an
Mhm.
appointment, and if they do sign up for an appointment, then the next step is we have a link we would send you for a payment, and then the call is usually about an hour. It could be 40 minutes, it could be an hour and 20, whatever it needs to be. Like we said, that one we had was probably an hour and a half, but it was fun. We got to answer a lot of questions, and eventually we became a client because I think they realized, wow, these guys bring a lot of resources to the table.
Yeah, and what I've sort of the tales from the road that I've had related to this, and now everything that I'm being inundated with by athletes from all over Pennsylvania and beyond now is getting a second opinion is very, very important for the families, the athletes, and even the coach. I mean, I think coaches are willing to obviously get second opinions as well related to players. I'm talking about high school coaches now, Craig, right? I mean, they want to, if they're going to give advice to a student athlete, they want to make sure that it's correct?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I I got to spend more time this past year with more high school coaches in my area, and especially if you're concentrating, you stay in a certain area for most of your career, and don't get out and meet with a lot of coaches, college coaches, and go to a lot of clinics. You really don't know what they're looking for. I mean, it could be a great player at the high school level around here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to translate to Division I student athlete. So I think it's crucial for parents, students, and coaches to have a really good idea of what level their student athletes have a possibility of playing at, so that they're not wasting their time researching and trying to find a college that they're not going to be a good fit at. Because everybody wants to go and play.
And no different when Craig evaluates a transcript. So recently we had someone that thought they were a 2.8, 2.9, and then when you review their transcript, they're like a 2.3 in the core. So a lot of times they don't understand. They assume they're a 2.8, but these colleges, and for the eligibility for the NCAA, Division I, 2.3 core. That means the 16 core classes. Division II, it's got to be a 2.2. Division III, it's a institutional decision, and they're usually higher. But you need to know what they're looking for. AP classes versus not taking APs or honors. What schools are actually looking at that? What schools need a test score right now? What don't? There's just so much to the process, not just from a football standpoint, but from an academic, that Coach Cox and I can help. And then from there, are you doing the right things with your study habits? Are you doing the right things with your time management to be the best student athlete possible? No different than being the best football player, where, are you stretching enough? Are you lifting enough, running enough, so on and so forth. So we both mentor our student athletes to make sure that as we're marketing them, we're also making them a better product realistically.
Yeah, and you're not limited by any blackout periods either. You can talk to these college coaches about your clients 24/7, 365. And I felt that that's the biggest benefit that both you and Craig have, is that if you want to something comes to mind, you can pick up that phone, or you can send that email right to that college coach and feel comfortable in the fact that there's no issues, right?
Yes, that is accurate. We're able to call, text, email, whatever we want to the college coaches whenever we need to. So, and we have the resources where we can find them, either through Twitter, through email, through phone, whatever it might be. We have the ability to contact them directly.
And that's the biggest thing, Coach Cohen and other services, is that he does contact coaches directly. He does not just blast them with emails that are going to be deleted and never read. That's
actually how Coach Cox and I met. I don't know if you know that, Coach Badge. No, that's the true story. I still have his phone number from like 2 prior colleges he was at. And then I don't know how it happened, but we got on a call when he stopped coaching, and I'm like, wait, we used to talk. So, and we did. So then now we've become good friends.
And even every time that I see you, there's always somebody who's connected, that you either coached with or played with or what have you. I mean, relationships are everything in this process, guys, right?
It really is. I mean, when we did the show, the Pigskin Classic in Delaware, so we go and watch Northeast High School. Ryan Nace is the head coach, and I'm like, yeah, I know him a little bit, and then I go out there and we give each other a hug. And I just didn't know how much he remembered me or not, but he was a coach at Lafayette when I was a coach at Bucknell, and that's just pretty cool. And then you meet the different coaches, and I usually, because I'm old now, I can connect the dots somehow or another, where I can find someone that they know well that I also know. And I think that always eases them a little bit. If I don't know them directly, I'll find a way to get someone in between us.
how about you, Craig? I mean, relationships. Talk about that.
It's everything. Because the people that you really know and trust are be the ones that are gonna be honest with you the most too. Um, so it's a lot of times people just want to tell you what they think you want to hear, what they think your parents want to hear. So it's important to have those relationships with people that you can trust and get an honest evaluation on and what coach does. When he calls college coaches, they don't tell him just what he wants to hear. They're going to tell him, okay, we do have a spot or don't have a spot for this kid, or this kid can play here, can't play here. They're going to be honest and open with it, which helps in turn Coach Cohen working with his student athletes and not wasting their time and giving them a better list of schools that they're going to have opportunity to succeed at.
Yeah, and I think it's great the relationship that you develop with the players and the families too, because it isn't one. Yeah, they're ones that they might be at a game or whatever, and they come up with a question. They've got your phone number. Hey, you're going to take the call. You're going to answer, their question. That kind of relationship is important for these families and these players, so that they can kind of rest at ease, right?
For sure. For sure. And, I try to explain and be very upfront. I do know a lot of people and have a lot of relationships with people, but even for me, with all this experience and coaching at different levels at different schools and guys that I'm friends with, it's still, it might take me 3 phone calls or 4 phone calls for them to answer. And then once they answer, they might say, okay, well, Jim Jones makes that decision, not me. And then I got to track him down. So there's a big process for everyone, but we're going to get right to it. But we try to be very upfront that we'll get the answers, but it might not be the same day.
Right. And I think that that's fair enough. I mean, that, families at least can feel comfortable to know that they are going to get, an answer, and the fact that, you guys are available, to take calls and obviously, with your clients, but obviously too, just to answer some quick questions from a player or a family on where to turn. And for me in this whole process, it's, so many families and so many players, think that they're doing, the right thing or the best that they can do, but they really don't know that because they haven't really shared what they're doing with anybody else. That's what obviously you guys can do, not only by picking up the phone, but then obviously with your special plan here, where you are going to basically take a quick look and see whether or not they're doing the right thing, right, guys?
Definitely, for sure.
You're not going to get any better deal than this of getting that complete evaluation there. So anyway, any other things that you want to discuss related to social media? The one thing that my takeaway on this is I had not heard of the fact that players were contacting coaches via LinkedIn, but I guess that makes all the sense in the world, right?
For sure. I mean, I think that the more social media outlets that you can reach out to them on, it's like you hit it from different angles. I always tell our clients, we're going to email, we're going to text them, we're going to call their work, we're going to call their cell, we're going to hit all social media. If you hit it from all angles, it's one way is going to get them to answer. You know what I mean? So whatever you do in this profession, you never know where they are. You know what I mean? So like for me, I remember when I coached, and I'm sure Coach Cox remembers this, Fridays were big recruiting days for me in season because the hay's in the barn. I already have my game plan done. So usually for me, I'd show up for work late on a Friday at like 10, and I would be doing recruiting. I'd be making my player tests for the game, but I wanted to call high school coaches, call kids to wish them luck. But Fridays are a really good day. Thursday nights were really good. And some staffs make it where for an hour or 2 on Sundays, they make calls. So, just knowing the ins and the outs and how you're going to find those coaches and how you're going to reach them. Extremely important.
Yeah. Craig, any kind of final parting shot here?
Absolutely. Now, next week, you brought up highlights. Next week is creating a highlight film that'll help you get recruited. So we're going to go a little bit more into detail about highlight films again, which again, I think that's the third episode on that as well. But we keep getting more and more questions, and we, there's so much information in all these topics. I mean, I guarantee you we can spend another 5 sessions on social media and not hit everything and not answer all the questions. And the same goes
Well, that's why people
highlight.
can call us.
Absolutely.
That's why people can call us. It's all in the chat here. Like, we might be answering a lot of questions that are in general, but I think all families have specific questions that pertain to them and their child. So that's why you have to ask us to get the direct answers. So you have our contact information. Coach Badge is good at shoving that down your throat for the 8th time tonight, but that's why we love him. No, but you see mine, Coach Cohen, Coach Cox below. You can reach Coach Badgley, but we're here to help student athletes. We're here to help the student athlete fulfill their dreams realistically, and that's why we got involved in this.
And you can catch all the podcasts, all 20 other podcasts that we've done on my website. Just go to the video page. It's the tab at the top says videos, and watch them as many times as you want. There's no limit to how many times you want to watch.
Yeah, next week I'm going to make sure that I have that link. I'll throw that up in the chat. Next week I'll have that at my disposal to where we can throw that in the chat during the broadcast too. Not that we want them to turn away from what we're doing, but still, have that so they can take a look at everything else. So I'll tell you what, it's been that was a fast 40 minutes, guys. But
Very fast.
and on a topic that we've covered before, but I think that along with the takeaway of how important social media is, I think the takeaway of how important it is to get opinions and have somewhere to go for questions, which is what both you and Craig can provide all these families and all these players. So, but anyway, so next week, next Sunday night, it's all about highlights. I mean, everybody's putting everything together. I think it's a perfect topic for as we go into the second half of a season. So listen, my name is Bruce Badgley for Craig Cox and Andrew Cohen. We will see you next Sunday night for the Get Signed and Succeed podcast. Until then, take care, man. Bye-bye.